Last week in Plano, Texas, we closed on a 229 unit apartment for almost $8 million below what the sellers paid in 2021. The market didn't crash. The seller's financing structure ran out of time and they were forced to sell. This is the start of a multi-year cycle that disciplined operators are about to take advantage of. I'm Dan Brisse, two-time X Games gold medalist, and today we're managing over $480 million in real estate. Here's why this is happening and why we believe these next 2 years will be the best buying window we've seen since the great financial crisis. So we chose to buy a 229 unit apartment complex located in Plano, Texas. We ended up putting it under contract for $39.1 million. And as we went through due diligence, we actually retraded them down to $37.75 million. The reason we bought this deal is because the seller was under distress. They were being forced to sell. And when anyone's being forced to sell, it's the best chance to get the biggest price reduction. One of the things that drew us to this type of asset is the premier A+ locations. One of the things that's become extremely apparent to us over the last 5 years as we go through this multi-family reset, if you will, is that the A+ locations perform unbelievably well, no matter when there's good times or bad. So we can come in now, buy a great piece of real estate. When I say great real estate, I mean it's where people want to live. Right? It's where the retail is. It's where the great schools are. And we can now come in and we can step in at a greatly reduced purchase price, fix our debt, and come in with a very rinse and repeat value add strategy. That's the bread and butter for us. And so a 229 unit apartment complex for $37.75 million, that's our sweet spot. That's why we bought Hathaway at Willow Bend. The biggest reason the seller is giving up $8 million of equity is because they put a bridge loan on the deal, variable rate debt, meaning your interest rate is not fixed. So back in 2021, when this deal was purchased, if you wanted to be a buyer of multifamily, you pretty much had to use variable rate debt leveraged to the moon. And what happened is when a bunch of buyers were aggressively buying at the peak of the market, what happened was there was massive inflation, right? We can all remember this time. Back in 21, the Fed was looking at inflation being 7, 8, 9%. And so then they said, hey, we need to protect the people. We need to protect the population. Let's raise rates. Well, when you're on a variable rate loan and your debt's not fixed and the Fed raises rates, guess what's going up? Your interest rate that you just put on your new property is now following what the Fed is doing. And when that happens on large apartments, for a $47 million transaction like they paid here, what ends up happening is your debt payment skyrockets. So instead of it being, let's just say $150,000 a month, it might be $220, $230, $250 a month. And I can tell you right now, it does not matter how great of an operator you are. If your debt payment goes up that much in a 12 or 24 or even 3-year period, you're likely toast. And so that's what happened. The property was purchased at the peak of the market, rates ran, they couldn't afford their debt, and now 5 years later, their lender says, hey, you must sell this deal, take it to the market. For deals that we currently own, if you're under fixed debt, you're just waiting, right? As long as your leverage is low enough and you're in a cash flow state, you're waiting for the market to come back. You're waiting for the market to heal, if you will. So the challenge or the pain comes when you have to sell. If you're forced to sell, if the lender is telling you you've had your 5-year window, because usually variable rate loans are about 5 years. You get 3 + 1 + 1. And at year 5, the lender wants their capital back and they say, take the deal to market. You've had your 5-year window. For us, if we've got fixed debt and we're locked in for 5, 7, 10 years from today, you're basically waiting until 2030, 2032, 2035 to look at exiting. So the difference is if you've got a variable rate loan that you're being forced to sell, or if you've got fixed debt that you can hunker down, hold, and wait for the market to correct. I broke down our full strategy for this in the free guide. Links in the description if you want it. One of the biggest reasons we're drawn to Dallas, you guys, is number one, it's a very landlord-friendly state. It allows us to control the real estate. So if a resident decides they don't want to pay rent, more power to them, we're gonna have to evict you, right? In some states, it's very difficult to evict. Specifically, let's just talk about California. It might take 6 to 12 months to get a resident out of an apartment. if they're not paying rent. That is not a very pliable business to control. Whereas within Texas, if someone stops paying rent, we can generally get them out in about 3 to 4 weeks max. So number one, we're looking for very landlord-friendly states. Number two, we're looking for population growth and job growth. And the way we measure that for Dallas-Fort Worth MSA is we watch and we measure how many one-way U-Haul trips are happening on a year-by-year basis. And Dallas, Texas has ranked number one for 2 years in a row. In 2024 and 2025, there have been more one-way U-Haul trips going into Dallas, and that is purely a testament to how many businesses are moving to Dallas, because jobs bring people. You know, in relation to jobs, you guys, the thing you want to follow are major corporations and where they're relocating to. The deal we just bought being a 229 unit apartment complex located in Plano, Texas, a few big things that draw us into that submarket, and obviously Dallas as a whole, is you've got the Dallas Stars literally moving in 3 miles away, 8 minutes from Hathaway at Willow Bend. That's a huge, huge corporation, a huge company that's going to draw people. It's going to draw jobs. It's, you know, another huge change that's happening in the Plano submarket, 8.2 miles from Hathaway, is Samsung's US headquarters are relocating to Plano. It's going to bring thousands and thousands of jobs. We also happen to have AT&T global headquarters, 11 minutes from Hathaway. That's 4.3 miles. Again, thousands and thousands of jobs by these massive corporations moving in. And you want to be positioned before these big corporations come into town, because you buy real estate based off of what the rent, what the property can produce for income, right? And as you have these huge corporations, Dallas Stars, AT&T, Samsung move into the submarket, it puts pressure on rents. They can't build enough units quick enough. Oh, and by the way, you want to be in markets where there's massive constraint, right? There's too many people, not enough supply, because everything in business is supply and demand. And so when there's not enough units, right? There's not enough units built, but people want to be there. It puts pressure on rent. It has people competing for rent. That's the sweet spot to be. You do not want to be in markets where jobs are leaving and there's too many units, because your rents are going to go down and your values will follow. You know, a few other quick points, you guys. Plano, Texas is one of the happiest cities in the country. It's in the top 5. It's also ranked number 1 in the country. Number 1 in the country for finding a new job. So that just tells you there are jobs, there are corporations, just like I'm talking about with AT&T, Samsung, those major corporations, Dallas Stars. The other huge benefit of Texas and Plano is that residents pay 0% income tax. That's a huge benefit. It lets more money stay in their pocket. Yeah, some of the things you guys want to look for when you're looking for great real estate is phenomenal locations. And phenomenal locations for us, you guys, are number one, you've got incredible retail really close by. Like Hathaway, the deal we're buying here, you can literally walk across the street and be shopping at Whole Foods. You can go to Trader Joe's. You've got La La Land Coffee, REI, Starbucks. I mean, all of these shops are so critical, and they're so close by. You've got Williams-Sonoma, Sephora. So that's one piece. Number two is crime. You want to be in a place where it's safe, where you don't have to worry about walking to the grocery store at 7:30 at night, where your kids can play outside, right? You want to have crime ratings that are extremely low. Another huge piece that you've got to be tuned into is, what are the schools ranked? How are they rated on niche.com? Plano School District is a nationally ranked school in the country. What that does, you guys, is for people who can't go in and buy a home in this submarket, because the average medium home price within a 3-mile radius of Hathaway is a little over $550K. So not a lot of people can unfortunately afford that. But if they can get a lease at Hathaway in that submarket, now they have access to the same retail. They have the same school district that their kids are going to go to. They've got low crime. They get to enjoy the beautiful parks. They get to enjoy this submarket for a fraction of the monthly cost. So that's a huge advantage of buying A-plus locations. When you guys are looking at deals or investing in deals, the deal structure is very, very important. You know, for us, we offer a 7% preferred return out of all of our deals currently. So what that means is, if you invest $100,000, the first 7% of cash flow is going to go to the limited partners, going to go to the capital partners. And so if you got 100 grand in the deal and the deal can produce 6% cash flow a year, you're getting $6,000 a year on your capital. Now, not every deal is going to produce exactly 7% every single year. So that shortfall gets passed to the next year. So let's just say year one, 6% gets paid out. The next year, we owe 7% plus the 1, so 8%. And that continues to compound until the LPs, the limited partners or the passive investors, first receive 7% annually. After we get 7% annually, when there's a refi or when there's an exit, that's when profits get split 80-20. 80% goes to capital, 20% goes to the general partners. Now, if you put in 500,000 or more, then you're going to get 85%. And 15% to the GPs. So if you invest a larger amount of money, your return goes up a little bit more. It's the way that most operators will set up their waterfall structure to incentivize investors to put a little more capital in. You put a little more capital in, we're going to give you a little bit better return. So that's the deal. $8 million below what the sellers paid 5 years ago. The market punished them because of the debt structure they used. And the same structure is coming due for hundreds of other 2021 buyers over the next few years. The wave is here, you guys. You just have to be ready to ride it. If you're thinking about investing with us, scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description to book a free call.